Welcome on Barrett Brooks, who joins us now. Give Barrett a follow on X at bbrooks72NBCS, former NFL offensive lineman and also analyst for NBC Sports Philly as well. Barrett, really appreciate the time, man. Fired up for this Rams-Eagles matchup tomorrow. As you break down this game, what do you think are going to be the biggest keys, the determining factors to whoever pulls out the victory tomorrow in Philly?
Well, whoever can establish the run is going to win this game. I mean, you look at it from the Rams' perspective, they run play action. And when they run play action, that's what opens up their passing game. The offensive line is just okay, but, you put that added pressure of stopping the run while you're going for the pass. And, Stanford is already, a technician at the quarterback position. So he has, Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. Both of those guys are playing, and then you sprinkle in a little bit of Higbee in there. That could be a pretty potent offense. But defensively, I think that, this Eagles defense can keep up with them, especially the way this front four has been rushing so far this year. They haven't had a lot of sacks. They had a bunch of almost getting theirs, but those almost getting theirs and hitting the quarterback are leading to turnovers, and that's what they're doing. They're getting turnovers. So that's going to be the point. Whoever can establish the run is going to win this game.
Barrett, from a betting perspective, we had a bookmaker tell our network this week, they can't write an Eagles -3.5 ticket. Everything is Rams. Everything is Rams plus 3.5. We're hearing some Rams money line. What's the overall vibe in the city of Philadelphia? Is it kind of after these two wins? They definitely could have lost that Cowboys game. Chiefs, well, that was a tough win. But as the Super Bowl defending champs and going into this game against a playoff team where, again, I felt like the Eagles were in control that whole playoff game, but it got a little sweaty at the end. Going into this game, is it positive? Or we know how the Philly fan base can be, being a Philly native, a little trepidatious, scared of this game against the Rams. What's the overall vibes?
The overall vibe. There's doom and gloom in Philadelphia, regardless if Super Bowl champs or not. It's always the, half full here in Philly. You know how that is. But, when you look at this game, I think, the betting people are looking at, the reason they won the games last year is that Saquon Barkley had over 200 yards each game, 255 in the first one and 205 in the second one. He hasn't been able to crack the 100-yard mark the last three games he played in, the Super Bowl in these last two games. So they're thinking, all right, he's not going to be able to go out there and tote it like he did then. Those two big, he had 60 and 70-yard runs in those games. He's not going to be able to do that. And do the Eagles have a good enough offense to push the ball down the field systematically, going through his reads, Jalen Hurts going through his reads, getting it to the right guy. Can he get it to his can they game plan? It's a new offensive coordinator. Can he engineer an offense that can, get A.J. Brown open? Right now, he just leaves A.J. Brown on one side of the ball, and when they snap the ball, he stays there. You got to be more innovative in your play calling and get guys open. You can game plan A.J. to be open, just like everybody's game planning our third corner in Jackson. They want to get their best players on Jackson. You can do the same thing with A.J. A.J. can be open every single play if you game plan and put the game around him. He's one of those guys you can't do that. You could win with a game plan structured towards A.J. Brown. But I think the biggest thing is this team has to establish a run. And it's not just, Saquon Barkley, you call it his number, but I think it's a big, it's a big cause for this offensive line to say, look, I'm tired of the BS. It's time to take control of the line of scrimmage. We have to win this game up front. And until they do that, make their mind up, and say, yes, we are the best offensive line in the NFL and show it, it's going to be hard on them. The difference between last week and this week, they do have Dallas Goedert back, and he's a guy that can control the middle of the field, but his run blocking is way superior than Grant Calcaterra. So with him being in a game plan, they can run the ball more successfully, and they can do more with Dallas Goedert. So I think that's the big key on this game. Can they run the ball because of Dallas Goedert's there and this offensive line makes their mind up, and can Saquon Barkley go out there and control the game like he did in the previous two games?
Barrett, do you think these are the two best teams in the NFC? Do you think it's one of these teams and Green Bay? Who do you think these are the two best teams in the NFC, or would you put Green Bay up there?
I will put Green Bay up there because they got their stuff together on the defensive side of the ball. But, by far, the Rams were the toughest team they played last year. The Rams were the best team that they played last year. Fundamentally sound with the quarterback position, but I think their defense is a young and up-and-coming defense. You think about a young guy just getting drafted. He's a local kid, too, from Philly. Verse came in, talked trash about it the week before, talked trash to the media about the fans and the team, and then came in and backed every single word of it up. He gave our 2 tackles who are Pro Bowl tackles fits in the run game and the pass game. So this is why I said this is going to be an impact game where the offensive line is going to definitely have to step up. But that young defense is really, really good. So, I mean, they've made things happen. So when you talk about a tough team, this is a tough team if that defense plays up to expectations. And we know they can rush the passer, but can they hold up on, the biggest offensive line in the NFL and the best offensive line in the NFL? That's the thing. Passing, if you make them pass, drop back pass, they can make it really, really hard on this Eagles offense. But if you allow them to run the ball like they did last week, it'll be a, same type of game. And I think this game will be more of what you want from the Eagles from this point on.
All right, Barrett, being a former offensive lineman, we got to talk tush push. A lot of scrutiny this week. NFL making it clear they're going to be calling it tight. How many times do the Eagles get flagged for a false start on the tush push this week?
It's one of those plays where it's really not fair. I mean, should they outlaw kickers that can kick 65 yards or more? You can't kick it 65 yards just because a team has the ability to do it. You're going to stop them from doing it because they're great at it. There's so many opportunities for them to call it either way. You look at the defense; half the defensive line is lined up over the line of scrimmage. That can be a call play also in that aspect. But you're right. You look at it. I watch it all the time, and I can see even the starting center's head is over the ball. It's farther than the ball. So, I mean, it's all technical, if you want to be really technical about it, I mean, that is an offsides on the offense, because his head is in front of the football. So it's tough. I love the tush push, I just don't like the name of it. But, I mean, they could do the same thing without have somebody pushing from behind. They have a 700-pound left side, a quarterback that squats 600 pounds. That's the reason why they're winning. That's the reason why they can do that anytime they want to. They don't need really anybody to push them. Jalen can do it by himself. So next year when they outlaw it, and I do think they're going to outlaw it, when they outlaw it, they're going to go say, all right, then we're just going to do, quote, QB sneak. It'll be the same exact play, just nobody pushing them, just QB sneaking it, and then they'll probably try to outlaw that then too. But anytime, Jalen Hurts wants to run that play, all he has to do is just lean towards that left side with Dickerson and Jordan, Mailata, and that's a first down, man. So, I mean, they practice it also. It's not just them going up and doing it. It's an art to them. They practice it. They run it in practice. So, that's why they're so good at it.
As a former offensive lineman, Barrett, like if they were running the tush push when you were playing, would you have liked it because it works so much? Because I just watched that play, man. I'm like, man, the O-linemen take a beating on that play every time they run it.
Yeah, they take a beating, but you're also beating up on somebody. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing. You're beating up on the offensive line. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of hidden stuff that happened in that offensive line and the defensive line that nobody hears about, nobody sees. So just as much, we got people on top of us, we're on top of people, and we're really imposing our will. That's the most demeaning thing you can do to a defense, is to run that play and they can't stop it. You see how Chris Jones was, he was emphatic on the sideline saying they ran the same damn play 7 times and they can't stop it. That's just disheartening to a defense. So, I mean, it's got, mentally, it's one of the best plays they can run because nobody can stop it, number one. But number two, the effect it has on that defense, knowing that it's 3rd and 1 and they can do nothing about them picking up the first down, that's a psychological advantage that the Eagles have during that time.
Barrett, a lot of desperate and ugly underdogs this week. 0-2 Browns catching 8.5 against the Packers. Titans catching 4.5 against the 2-0 Colts. Is there, Saints 0-2 going to Seattle with Spencer Rattler catching 7.5 in Seattle. Is there any particular underdog you look at this board and you're like, you know what, they could, desperate spot and they could spring an upset?
Well, you know what? I really like this Titans team. Young quarterback Cam Ward's playing well. They got Pollard there running the rock for them. They're close to not becoming a team that's going to be, getting into the playoffs. But it was more so a team that understands, that they're in a position that they have a quarterback now, and they're going to get better because of that, because they have that quarterback. So they surprised me. This is a weird year because I'm looking at the Detroit Lions, and they look like they're, pretty good, but I see some teams beating them later on also. I don't think that they're on the caliber they were last year with their coordinators leaving. So I think there's some holes in that armor right there also. And then Minnesota, I don't know what they're going to do. McCarthy being out again. They've got Carson Wentz starting for them. They might be able to put something together. Carson's still I think he can be a quarterback. He wasn't in Philadelphia, but, he might be able to get this team rolling in the right direction. So, those are a lot of teams that might sneak up on a lot of teams.
Bear, what about the Kansas City Chiefs? They're obviously 0-2. You watched that Super Bowl rematch last week. They're going to get some reinforcements back. Worthy should be back here the next couple weeks. Rice, after he serves the suspension. Do you still think Kansas City is a playoff team? You think they're going to have enough time to get to the postseason, or do you think the Chiefs are going to be on the outside looking in?
Oh, absolutely. I think they're going to be a team that's going to compete. And they're going to show up in the playoffs and then whoop everybody like they've been doing. They have total mind control over the Ravens and the Bills during the playoffs. Will this year be different? I don't know. But we're talking about, the best coach in the NFL and Coach Reed and the best quarterback in the league in Mahomes. They're going to get it together. And when you get that speed back with Worthy back and those guys back, both of those guys run 4.240s. The speed that they have out there, they just need to get, Kelsey going. He may be a little long in the tooth, but Noah's sitting there also. But they have ability to be a really good team because with that defense playing the way they play, they'll always be in the game. So, I think Big Red will get those guys going in the right direction. And then come playoff time, when it gets cold and, you're trying to execute stuff, I think then you'll see the real Andy Reid's led Chiefs go into effect. They're probably, one of my favorites going into the Super Bowl this year. Still, right, even after what I saw last week, they're still one of my favorites.
Great stuff. Barrett Brooks, give him a follow on X at bbrooks72 NBCS. Former NFL offensive lineman, analyst for NBC Sports Philly. Join us here on Inside the Betting Lines, presented by BetMGM. Barrett, really appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Hope to catch up with you again soon.
Absolutely. The game tomorrow, but all this college football today, I'm loving it right now.
Oh, man, it's the best.